Meanwhile, to another scandal, the legal pressure now is mounting on Victorian Liberal leader John Pesutto to say sorry for his role in the shameful bullying of 3 women a year ago. 3 women who were just arguing that women-born women should have safe spaces and not have to share them with women-born men. And now the ABC is threatened by legal action as well. Now, these 3 women, there's British women's rights activist Kellie-Jane Keane, expelled Victorian Liberal MP Maura Deeming, and gender-critical feminist Angie Jones have all issued concerns notices against Pesutto, accusing him of defaming them for linking them to neo-Nazis, with Deeming's case already set for a trial in September. And Kellie-Jane Keane has now issued a concerns notice against the ABC as well. And I would love to see justice finally done after the sick bullying those women endured, and especially Keane. I mean, she came out to Australia last year to campaign for safe spaces, like toilets, for instance, for women-born women. But the transgender lobby monstered her in Tasmania, stole her microphone at a Melbourne rally, and had Australian Senator Lydia Thorpe try to physically stop Keane speaking in Canberra. But the Liberals in Victoria were so weak that they couldn't even defend this woman's free speech. Just the day after the Melbourne rally, leader John Pesutto, Liberal leader, seems clear to me, suggests that Kellie-Jane Keane was linked to neo-Nazis, was even a sympathiser, relying on inaccurate information he'd got from Wikipedia.
We don't stand with neo-Nazis. We don't stand with white supremacists.
And Keane now says the ABC's Sarah Ferguson also defamed her when she completely missed the point of what Keane had posted before her Melbourne rally.
The organiser of the rally, and this is someone with very clear, for our audience, very clear far-right associations. I just want to be clear for the audience what we're talking about here, for anyone who hasn't followed this closely. You produced, as I mentioned earlier, a dossier of the organiser of the rally that details her associations, and they include a particular image that she posted, and we're going to run that now so we're very clear what we're talking about. It is the pride flag overlaid with a swastika and includes the words Pride Starpo.
And it went on. Now, as I said the next day, Sarah Ferguson, how blind do you have to be? What Keane obviously meant by that graphic was not that she was a Nazi, but that the transgender activists attacking her, they were acting like Nazis themselves, okay? Joining me is Federal Liberal MP Claire Chandler, who was due to speak at Keane's Canberra rally last year, but didn't when it was hijacked by activists. Look, great to see you, Claire, but how do you explain the madness and the hysteria and the violence, particularly in New Zealand, that broke out last March with Kellie-Jane Keane's visit?
Well, frankly, Andrew, I think it is inexplicable that we're living in a country, or indeed New Zealanders are living in a country, where women who are speaking out and defending their rights to single-sex spaces and services are being treated in this abhorrent way. But sadly, it has become more and more common in recent years, whether it's threats of violence, whether it's threats of losing employment, whether it's cancelling on social media. Some of the stuff that women have to put up with for speaking out about these issues is absolutely disgusting. Now, I genuinely do think that the tide has started to turn, and I think that the Let Women Speak rallies were a bit of a turning point for that, because Australians were finally able to see just how much women have to put up with when they're speaking out in defence of their own spaces, and thought, this isn't right. There's nothing wrong with women having access to single-sex sport and single-sex services and single-sex spaces, and they shouldn't be threatened with violence for doing so.
But Claire Chandler, look, you are so right. I mean, I see that. I don't care almost what the women are trying to argue, but that bullying is just unacceptable. But what really frightened me was, while I had the reaction, here with the Victorian Liberals, the party supposedly of free speech and all that kind of thing, sullying the women. I mean, it was, how did that happen? And what should John Pesutto, the Liberal leader, do now?
Look, how that happened is a very interesting question, Andrew, and it's one that John Pesutto has to answer fundamentally at some point in time through whatever process he's currently going through. But I'm a Liberal woman. I've been speaking out very publicly and passionately about these issues for some time, defending women's spaces and women's services and women's sport. And there are plenty of other Liberal women who I know do exactly the same thing and likewise feel very passionately about these issues. So there's no place for this sort of cancellation in the Liberal Party. On the other hand, certainly we know within the Labor Party and within the Greens, women are absolutely trampled on for speaking out about these issues. And the reason I know that is because the overwhelming majority of the time when I'm contacted by women who are concerned about the erosion of their sex-based rights, they're not women traditionally of the right of politics. They're women traditionally of the left who feel abandoned by the left on these issues.
Senator Chandler, you're absolutely correct on that, because there have been, I think, one Green office holder that lost their job because of questioning this. But let's not let the ABC off the hook either. I mean, the ABC's role in the hounding of Keane and others and smearing, I think, even of people like you, was appalling. I mean, how is it that the ABC should be so close to debate?
Oh, look, it's completely unacceptable from our national broadcaster. But more broadly than that, the ABC needs to do what many of the media outlets in this country, particularly the left-wing media outlets in this country, have to do, which is start accurately reporting on these issues when women are fighting for their sex-based rights and trying to defend their sex-based rights. Like I've said many times on your show and on others, that the media has not helped this situation. The institutional capture of the media has indeed, I think, deplatformed and censored much of the debate around this issue. So there's a long way that the mainstream media in this country has to go to allow women to be able to freely talk about these issues. No reflection on the good folk at Sky News. They've been very good in providing myself and others the space and time to talk about these issues, but some of the other outlets leave a bit to be desired.
Yeah, well, the ABC, don't forget, is funded by all taxpayers to give all sides of a debate, and clearly it is not doing that. It is a special responsibility and it's shirking it. Senator Claire Chandler, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.